the countless parents that you support and empower every single day. It's their friends and family. It's the lawmakers they meet with, the children in classrooms where they speak, and the thousands of new families SMVLC has been able to help because of your choices and your actions. You did not just create a parent support network. You created and sustained a movement with your kindness and your refusal to give up. You made the world a better and safer place, and you did it in a way that will continue to give no matter what happens next. So, for these reasons and so many others, no one is more deserving of tonight's honor and the title Humanitarians of the Year than the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Thank you for being here tonight in support of Project Healthy Minds, our partners at Archwell Foundation, and the true leaders in mental health access. Tonight, we're all here together to focus on what remains one of the most pressing issues of our time. Let me share a number with you. 4,000. That's how many families the Social Media Victims Law Centre is currently representing. Families whose children have been harmed or lost forever to social media. 4,000 cases at just one firm. And that number represents only those parents who have been able to link their child's circumstance to social media use. Parents who have learned legal action is possible, who have the capacity to pursue it while grieving, and parents who found their way to help in the fight back against some of the wealthiest, most powerful corporations in the world. And even after this, there may be no road to closure for grieving parents because these companies refuse to disclose their child's information and activity on their platforms. If these deaths and harms were unintended consequences 10 years ago, what are they now? This is a pivotal moment in our collective mission to protect children and support families in the digital age, and we cannot do it without you.
Our children, Archie and Lily, are just 6 and 4 years old. Can you believe it? Luckily, still too young for social media, but we know that day is coming. And like so many parents, we think constantly about how to embrace technology's benefits while safeguarding against its dangers. And that hopeful intention of separation is rapidly becoming impossible. Now, 2 years ago, we first spoke publicly about the work we've been doing with parents around social media's devastating impact on their children. There was no better place to share this than on World Mental Health Day with Project Healthy Minds. Their dedication to expanding access to mental health support is exactly what we aim to do by building this community called the Parents Network. We launched this program a year prior, after we had been tracking the effects of online harms more broadly in 2020. We were doing the research, we were meeting with experts at Stanford who had been trying to be heard on the findings that they knew were troubling and that would only worsen. And our work continued for years, quietly, and then in 2023 we connected with the Social Media Victims Law Center. We met with a group of American families whose lives were forever changed by the online harms that ultimately created the tragic fates of their children. And in that first gathering, it was clear that for all of these families, meeting others who'd endured a similar experience was comforting, but more than that, it was unifying. We felt the collective strength of this community coming together to heal and feeling compelled to act in a much more public way, which is what we began to do. Together we can and we will build a movement that all families and all children deserve. We know that when parents come together, when communities unite, waves are made. We've seen it happen, and we're watching it grow. And with your support, we'll continue building a safer digital world for all of our children. So on behalf of my husband and I, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you, all of you, for your support, and thank you for standing with us as we continue this vital work. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Very honored to welcome him to the World Mental Health Day Festival stage this morning. please join me in giving an enormous welcome to the stage my friend Prince Harry.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are we doing today? It's wonderful. Well, we're all very, very grateful that you're here today. Today is more than just about conversation. It's about community. And over the next several hours, you'll hear from remarkable people, researchers, advocates, parents, young people, and leaders who are reshaping how we approach our mental health here in America and around the world. Now, the past 5 years have taught us painfully that crises rarely arrive in isolation. The global pandemic stripped away the ordinary scaffolding of life and brought a measurable surge in anxiety, depression, and loss of connection. War and displacement, from Ukraine to Gaza, Sudan to DRC, and many places in between, have created waves of trauma for those defending their countries and their way of life, for civilians, for families forced to flee. Climate disasters have translated into eco-anxiety and psychological upheaval as extreme weather uproots communities and destabilizes lives. Our digital world has fundamentally changed how we experience reality. Young people exposed to relentless comparison, harassment, misinformation, and an attention economy designed to keep us scrolling at the expense of sleep and real human contact. And, of course, economic instability, from cost of living shocks to inflation, has produced constant, corrosive stress for hundreds of millions. These are not separate problems for separate people. They are interlocking injuries to our global community. Mental health is shaped by public health, foreign policy, climate policy, corporate design, and economic choices. Too often, decisions made by a few powerful actors ripple across the planet into every aspect of our lives. Now, we've worked with and listened to parents who've lost their children to online harm, Afghan women who've rebuilt their lives far from home, communities healing after unthinkable tragedy, young people learning to navigate a digital world that wasn't designed with their well-being in mind. This is what we've discovered. Maintaining good mental health isn't just an individual challenge, it is a community responsibility. Approached this way, everybody wins. That's what today's about. The conversations you'll be part of about childhood and technology, about resilience and crisis, about the pressures of influence and the power of movement. They're all connected by this same thread. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community.
Just got me. How's everybody doing today? Well, we are so thrilled to be here to support, of course, what is happening in this space and on this very important day with Project Healthy Minds. So for this next panel, we're going to turn to one of the most urgent questions facing families today. What's happening to childhood? And how and what do we do to allow our children to just be children? 3 years ago, we had met with families whose worlds had been absolutely shattered. Parents who had lost children to social media-driven suicide, others who had lost so many of their children to struggles with depression, anxiety, self-harm, all inflicted by online harms. And you heard some of that in the first panel with Katie, who we met 3 years ago with her mom. And just so proud of you, Katie, if you can hear me backstage, and how far she's come as a project. So in this sit-down that we had a few years ago, what began as individual tragedies became the foundation for the Parents Network, Now, this was a community that grew from a small pilot in November of 2022 to a global support system serving families across 3 countries by August 2024. What we learned in these moments is that these parents, they didn't just need therapy. They needed other parents who understood their very specific grief. And when they came together, they weren't just sharing stories, they were creating a movement. And they did it quite well. Utilizing trauma-informed practices, parents created strong bonds and offered healing support through community. They turned their grief into advocacy. And when they let love fuel their fight for change, we saw tremendous impact. This community power is crucial to protect our children's mental health online. And we partnered with Girls Inc. for a program called Half the Story to reach young girls in underserved communities. We were addressing everything from body image to online safety. We saw the same thing happen. They weren't just learning about digital wellness. They were creating communities of absolute resilience. So the conversation that you're about to hear will help us better understand the scale of what we're facing, and more importantly, what we can do about it. Because while the research is sobering, the solutions, as we've seen firsthand in the past few years with these very brave and resilient parents, the solutions are within reach, especially when parents, advocates, and communities all come together. So I'm honored to introduce this conversation and this panel with Jonathan Haidt, Katie Couric, and parents from the Parents Network who have lived this reality and are fighting every day to protect other families. Please welcome them to the stage. Thank you.
Good morning. I have to say, Project Healthy Minds, this is clearly a very classy organization, and you can tell because they have these really cool graphics and the shifting colors, and the quality of the people that they hire here to do the introductions. I mean, my God, I am just so honored. So, and it's a real pleasure to be here.